Welcome to the Bad Tutors podcast. If you are here for the newest, up-to-date, accurate information on the nerdy topics that are near and dear to your heart, well, let me tell you, you ended up in the wrong place. Here, we're all about hot takes and grandiose displays of misinformation, so stick along for the ride, and you might just blow a blood vessel or two. So, I just want to say, to preface this entire episode, we do say that we get things wrong right in our intro. I even fucked up the intro right there.
It's very applicable.
We're not perfectionists, okay? But that is going to apply a lot to this episode. I did research, don't get me wrong, but I did not read every piece of media that these characters are in. What characters? Well, it's the answer to the question that I asked everybody in our friend group and a couple other people I asked. Who's your favorite Robin? So I'm going to be talking about Robin Williams, Robin from How I Met Your Mother,
Yep.
the one from Teen Titans, and what are you talking about, the bird?
Are you covering the 60s era rock song Rockin' Robin?
That's actually, you're going to have to edit that in and just have it play constantly through this episode.
Okay, I can do that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool. No, we're talking about Batman's Robins.
Of course, yeah.
My youngest brother watched The Batman, I think is the title of the movie, the one with the guy from Twilight. And he really liked it. So I told him I would do a Batman adjacent episode at least. And before anybody, says something about him liking it, he was probably too young to really watch the Christian Bale Batman. So he didn't appreciate that the way that me and you did.
Wait, am I incorrect in saying that didn't people really like the Robert Pattinson Batman? Wasn't that a pretty well-reviewed movie?
Maybe from the fans. I don't know. I saw a lot of criticisms of it.
Oh, I feel like
mostly on
pacing
and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I also haven't seen it, so I can't really speak to it, but I feel like I just heard I agree, coming from that Christian Bale Batman that is, I'd say arguably the most iconic Batman at this point, other than Adam West, but that's not as much to our generation. That's the big one. I've still heard good stuff about the Robert Pattinson one, I feel like.
That's his name, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, not Twilight the Vampire.
Well,
we're not talking about Twilight though. We're talking about Robin. It's okay. When we cover the Twilight episode, I'll be upset with you.
Okay, all right. I should do an episode on vampires. Okay. We're going to talk about Robin though right now, because that's what we planned on. So, Ian, do you know how many Robins there are?
It's between 8 and 10, right?
No.
No? Is that
so
too high or too low? I don't know.
There are 4 of Batman's adopted sons who have donned the guise of Robin.
Is that it? I thought there were way more of them.
So there are certain storylines, certainly, outside of universes and stuff like that. But this is, as much as I could, I tried to stay to post-Infinite Crisis storyline.
Okay.
Does that mean anything to you?
Vaguely. Is that the most recent reboot? Or is it
Yes.
Okay.
So New 52 happened. Infinite Crisis was the main storyline of recent DC Comics.
Okay.
That being said, we're going to go to our first Robin. And he is Dick Grayson. He was the first Robin. He appeared in Detective Comics number 38 from April of 1940. So a very
classic
old character. Yes. Well, listen, I'm talking about the origin stories when I say
I
Infinite
know.
Crisis,
Yeah.
okay? And you'll see why in a second.
Mm.
Um, so he's from 1940. He became Nightwing as he got older, um, after joining the Teen Titans, um, as a break from his connection inherently as Robin to Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Like an identity crisis that he had. So for his origin story, he was the youngest member of a family of acrobats known
Mm-hmm.
as the Flying Graysons. Bruce Wayne was in attendance to one of the Flying Graysons shows when Dick's parents were actually killed by a mobster that was extorting them and the circus for money. Um, they loosened the ropes on a trapeze bar, I think,
Mm.
so that it couldn't sustain the weight of both of them. And then when a like exchange was, I don't know too much about the circus, but I'm pretty sure like one flies through the air into the hands of the other.
Sure.
Is called an exchange. And when the weight of both of them were on the bar, um, it broke, the rope broke, and they fell to their deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Dick is now an orphan, and Bruce Wayne experiencing the death, or witnessing rather, the death of um, a young boy's parents, sort of in a way mirrored to that of his own parents.
He thought, you're right. I could be a
A vic-
father.
the victim to crime in Gotham. He took on Dick as his ward, which is essentially adopting him
Mm-hmm.
without giving him the Wayne family name.
And I'm correct in saying that Bruce Wayne at this point was Batman, right?
Already
I'd say
Batman,
I
yeah.
don't know how young he was when he like officially took on the title. I know he was like somewhat of an adult at least, but I don't
Yeah.
know the exact timeline on it.
Yep. So he had already been Batman at this point.
Okay.
And so it was after Dick Grayson was taken as a ward of Bruce Wayne that he became the first Boy Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And because he's the first, he has the most story, the most history, and he is absolutely a favorite of the fandom. The
Checks
Batman
out.
universe, he is like, the star child. As he got older and he became more involved in the Teen Titans, he began to disagree with Batman on a lot of minor things, and they started to drift apart. The
Mm-hmm.
things that he disagreed about is Dick Grayson has a very uplifting view on the world, whereas Batman's very doom and gloom. Um, you know,
Right.
like for example, he has contingencies for what would happen if any of the members of the Justice League turned evil, and that's because he doesn't trust anybody because he sees the bad in everybody, whereas Dick sees the good.
I just
So
watched the clips of all of those from whatever animated movie or TV show that was. Yeah.
yeah, are you talking about like all of the DC Universe, uh, Batman and Justice League movies that are like
There
getting released recently?
No, there is a specific animated, like I said, either movie or TV show. I'm not sure. I think it was a movie where all of Batman's contingency plans for the Justice League start happening. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? He's like, okay, so here's the thing. I have contingency plans to kill all of you if you go evil. But they are my plans, but I'm not doing them. And it's I don't remember what villain that is. He got in and stole all of his plans and like modified them to fuck with them a little bit more than Batman's plans, which would just like kill them or disable them for as long as possible.
Yeah, it
Uh,
seems like something Brainiac would do.
I believe he was involved in it. Yeah. It was one of the like mob boss villains, I believe, though. That was
Oh,
like
really?
at the
Okay.
head of it. But yeah, I kept seeing clips of it on YouTube Shorts and just went through and like watched all of them. Martian Manhunters is hilarious because it doesn't kill him. It's just like a real big inconvenience. And when I say inconvenience, I mean mercury burning on his skin constantly because he cannot get rid of it. But it doesn't kill him. It's just like, hey, you're on fire and it's painful forever. Have fun with that.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Exactly. Batman. A little bit of a dark outlook on life.
You could say that, certainly, yeah.
And Dick Grayson is much the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
He's always uplifting, and you see that a lot in his role as the leader of the Teen Titans. You'll see, as we talk about the other Robins, every Robin has spent time as a leader of the Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And for a little while, Dick Grayson was content with being Robin in the Teen Titans, but eventually he needed a change. He decided to take a quick break from crime fighting and returned with a new costume, a new mask, and a new name. He became Nightwing, and he was no longer the sidekick of Batman. He did continue to lead Teen Titans and occasionally return to Gotham for like a reunion in crime fighting. And his relationship with Batman is similar to a father and son that have just different worldviews. But like Dick still looks up to him as a father and role model.
Mm-hmm.
And he has found his own stride in life, but still very much, even after his little rebellious phase, idolizes Batman.
Mm-hmm. Wait, where does Teen Titans take place? I either just never thought about that when I watched it as a kid, or just kind of assumed it was... I don't know. I think I just never thought about it as a kid.
Bloodhaven, which is in New Jersey. That is.
Oh, so it's next to Gotham then? Because if you didn't know that, Gotham is in Jersey, which is so funny.
Apparently, New York City. They're all over the place. Teen Titans, they're crazy because they have so many different members and stuff. We'll talk about them maybe later. Hopefully not. But let's talk about Dick Grayson's skills as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trained by Batman. So he's obviously great in the detective skills. He's a great tactician. He knows his way around computers and hacking. But Dick is the most acrobatic of the Robins, obviously, because he's a flying Grayson. And when he fights crime and is in combat, he uses his acrobatic skills. He's like flipping through the air, swinging off of things, which is not how Batman fights.
No, not at all.
He's also, a master of many different martial arts, just like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
He fights with Screama sticks as Nightwing, which are like those two batons.
Yep.
Sometimes his batons are depicted as more than just like metallic fighting sticks. Sometimes they have the ability to like taser somebody.
Yeah, I remember that in the Injustice games, right? Whether or not that's true of the Injustice comics, I don't know. But I definitely remember him doing some fucking dumb shit range spam with electric.
He threw it, right? Yeah. Besides that stuff, he mirrors Batman's skills in deduction, stealth, speed, agility, etc. And he also has an incredible access to an arsenal of gadgets, similar to Batman's.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he gets them from. The costume is the original Robin costume, the green spandex with the bare legs, a
Yeah.
red vest, a yellow cape, and he wears those green gloves and the green boots. And then after becoming Nightwing, he gets that badass black skin tight suit with the blue bird that extends across his chest and sometimes down his arms, depending
Yep.
on the depiction, and then the blue mask as well.
Yeah, I remember thinking that Nightwing was the hottest shit when I saw him in the original Teen Titans cartoon. He became my favorite superhero for a second, even though he was only in the show for like, God, maybe an episode,
Right.
maybe an episode. But I was like,
Um,
this dude fucks. This guy fucks hard, and I'm here for it.
oh, for sure. Uh, the second Robin is Jason Todd.
Mm-hmm.
So Jason Todd was first featured in Batman number 357 in 83. So this is 43 years after the first Robin.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. We had some time to sit
We had
with
some time
Dick
with
Grayson
Dick.
and find
Yeah.
out. I mean, who doesn't love a little time with Dick?
Yeah, we love some time with Dick. Um, and then after dying at the hands of the Joker, Jason came back to life and took on the moniker Red Hood. He has a skewed moral compass and no longer follows Batman's rule of not killing criminals.
Mm-hmm. That is one question, because obviously I know like at least a passing amount about all of these characters, especially Red Hood, like going into that. Did they break the Marvel rule? Was Jason Todd actually dead and they brought him back to life, or was he beaten to the edge of death? Batman thought he was dead, and then, oh, surprise, he was actually still alive.
So, because this is comic books, it's a little complicated because
Of
it's
course.
both and neither at the same time.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So originally, Jason Todd was a carbon copy of Dick Grayson. He just had blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
Same character, same illustration, different color on the hair. His parents were also acrobats, just like Dick's.
Wait, so what the fuck was the point of Jason Todd? Did they just want to have Nightwing and Jason Todd
it seems
in
like
the world
that.
at the same time? They want to have Robin. They want to have their Robin and eat it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they did a new origin story for him, giving him a much more fleshed out story, and he became a much more troubled character. Mm-hmm. He started as a street kid, getting into trouble, and he actually stole the wheels off of the Batmobile.
I don't like that. He was a lad. Gotcha. Heard.
Yes, of course. He stole the wheels off of the Batmobile, and that's how Batman found him.
King shit. Hell yeah, that's hilarious.
And Batman took him in as Robin. Jason needed the help, and Batman needed a Robin, so it worked out great.
Nothing better than picking up a young boy off the street and bringing him back to your house.
Yeah, well, so his parents, his mother had died when he was really young, and his dad, he didn't know where he was, probably arrested, is what he says. Mm-hmm. Probably spending time in jail or prison. He was living in an abandoned apartment at the time, and that's why Batman, took him in. There was a little bit more to that story, but, that's why Batman was like, why don't you come stay with me and you can help me kick ass as a superhero.
I have this old British dude. He's super chill. You'll love it.
So Jason trained with Batman, but he always was like very troublesome in his attitude towards fighting crime and more than just a bit reckless. Mm-hmm. So Jason, who was still grieving the loss of his parents and was not doing so in a healthy manner, was acting out. And when he was acting out on the villains and the thugs that they were encountering, like beating the snot out of them and stuff.
Right. More than one should be when you're beating the shit out of someone.
Right. And there was a time when Jason was in the neighborhood of his childhood home and he ran into a neighbor who claimed to have had some of his dad's stuff. So he's looking through this stuff, and he finds out that his biological mom, the one that gave birth to him, is actually still alive and was somewhere in Ethiopia providing humanitarian aid and distributing medicine. So Jason goes there. Batman follows him. And he finds his mother. And she had just been approached by the Joker because she had been embezzling funds when she was in Gotham. So she went to Ethiopia to run from basically the consequences of that. And he was using that as leverage to get medical supplies from her that he was then tampering with, with like his laughing gas and stuff to... the story goes that he was doing that to take over, I believe, Iran and become the president or whatever the leader of Iran is called. I believe it's the president. I know. I don't really want to hang on this too much because it is like not important to Jason, because what happens right before all of that is important to Jason.
For half a second there, I had two trains of thought where you're like, oh, he's like embezzling medical funds. Embezzling is probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean. He's taking medical supplies, and I was like, he needs it for his goons. He's giving health care, because I don't know why I wanted to be that optimistic, but for some reason I want fuck of the normal people and the Ethiopians, but like my goons, they need this medicine. I was like, all right, that's a weird thing to do, Joker, but fine. Then you were like, oh, you're putting laughing gas in it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so he's like poisoning the people of Gotham and like doing some fuck shit there. And then you were like, he's trying to rule Iran. And I'm like, what the fuck? What just happened?
Yeah,
man?
so...
What?
So, remember, this story was originally written in a different time period. So, Iran... he's trying to take over Iran to get access to like a nuclear warhead, right?
Sure.
And then, do Joker things with that. But
trying to start
when I'm talking about Joker, I don't think I am, versed enough in general psychology to talk about Joker. Wilson, get your hedgehog. Get your hedgehog. Get it. You already took the fucking heart out of it? Oh
I just want to hear about that specific line of comics next. That's what I just want to hear about the Joker trying to take over a country. You know what? Fuck it. Gotham, small potatoes. I don't give a shit about
spoiler alert.
that.
He was successful. He became an ambassador to America from Iran. He shows up in Iran, and then Superman helps Batman take him down. And
that's the U.S. always interfering in democratically elected governments, I suppose.
Well, so he was an ambassador, so, no harm could follow him and stuff like that. But, like, they solve it because they're Superman and Batman, right? Mm-hmm. But before all of that happens, Jason finds out that she's getting, this past crime held over her head by the Joker. And he's like, hey, I have great news. I'm fucking Robin. I can get Batman to help us, and then we'll get you out of this. And then he goes to basically change costume and get Batman. And Joker shows back up, and she turns over her kid.
For sure, yeah.
She turns Jason over. He goes back to his mom, and Batman's not there yet. And Joker ambushes him, ties him up, beats the shit out of him with a crowbar, near to death, ties up his mother and him, and then sets a bomb off in the warehouse.
So that comic strip that I have seen and am aware of just happens to be in Ethiopia, is what you're telling me. By coincidence.
Correct.
I'll stop talking about Ethiopia now. That's just such a mind-blowing fucking fact of, like, what the fuck?
Yes, so in the original telling of the story, this is where it takes place. In the movie Red Hood Remastered, I don't know if it takes place there. It's been a while since I've watched it, but it really doesn't matter to that story. So there's a bomb in there. Jason is beaten near to death with a crowbar. And as the bomb goes off, Jason still tries to save his mother by shielding her with his body.
Mm-hmm.
Batman arrives a moment too late to save them and can only hold Jason's lifeless corpse. So Jason and his birth mother are buried back in Gotham, next to Batman's parents. And a memorial to Jason is erected in the Batcave in the form of his Robin costume.
Yep.
That becomes an iconic part of the Batcave. And so you'll see a dinosaur, a giant penny, and a Robin costume in most depictions of Batman, especially in the comics and the animated series and stuff.
Right.
This is where we're going to talk about whether or not he was dead or not.
Right.
He was dead. He was dead until they needed an antagonist that was close to Batman and knew secrets about Batman. And then they brought him back.
They did a Bucky.
Yes.
Although, I mean,
way they did it...
I think Bucky did a Robin, really. I don't know the timeline of those comics, but okay.
Sure. The way that they did it is they had Superboy Prime, which is just Superboy from the Prime universe that all the main story takes place from.
Sure.
He punches his way from one dimension to another. He literally takes his fist and punches it. Yep. And he changed reality, altered it in a way that Jason had never died, and clawed his way out of his coffin and dug himself from the earth. He roamed Gotham for a number of days until he was picked up by Talia al Ghul's goons. And she trains him, nurses him back to health, and eventually submerges him in the Lazarus pit when he is not responsive. He is acting in a way that a comatose person would, but is still animated. So he's non-responsive, but he does take steps to ensure his own survival. So he eats, sleeps, and defends himself when approached. So she submerges him in the Lazarus pit to remedy that. And then she sends him to train with a bunch of different, very skilled criminals. What's really funny is that Jason is still a Robin. So he kills all of these trainers for one reason or another. They were trafficking children. They planned on setting off a bunch of bombs in, I believe, London, et cetera, et cetera. He is training with these people, learning bomb-making skills, more martial arts, whatever it is, and then he kills the trainer because, these criminals are bad people.
And then Talia sends him to the next trainer.
Yeah, so what's funny is...
she doesn't give a fuck.
No, of course not.
She's just like, big memes.
He's not doing anything to, Ra's al Ghul's legacy or his regime, so...
Oh, I figured taking out their big, high-skilled boys would be, fucking with the group, but I guess just
none of his trainers are
skilled. That wouldn't necessarily be one of the assassins,
right? None of his trainers are with the League of Assassins. They're just people that she knows from being a criminal, right? So she probably pays them a little bit, and he trains with them, and then he kills them because it's it's XD. I'm still Robin.
Big memes, yeah.
Yes. So eventually he finds his way back to Gotham. And this time he has a vengeance about him. He feels like he was never avenged by Batman. And he vows to kill Batman and the Joker. And as he's leaving, Talia al Ghul gives him this really fucking sick red helmet. And it is at this point that he is the Red Hood. So he takes out a bunch of crime lords in Gotham, attracts Batman to look into it, and he even captures Joker and and sort of a Uno reverse card beats him with a crowbar,
Mm.
but he doesn't get to kill him.
As Kendrick Lamar would say, that is poetic justice.
Yep. So to stop from rambling about my favorite character from the Bat Universe, we'll move on. But know that he has since been an active anti-hero in Gotham pretty much since his return, and he also has been like a member of some of these other groups that are like morally gray, teetering on definitely evil, back
Right.
to maybe good.
Definitely evil until the plot calls for them to help out Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So his skill sets, I'm going to say this, two more times. He's trained by Batman, so he's got
Yeah.
A lot of that
He
skill
got
set in
the
him.
Batman shit going on.
Yep, he's trained by Talia al Ghul, so he shares the skills in sword fighting, deadliness, poisons. He was also trained in bomb making, firearms, and an array of martial arts.
Mhm.
And from Batman, he gets technology, detective skills, stealth. List goes on and on.
Mhm.
He does not have access to Batman's arsenal,
Right.
and they're not always working together anymore. The way that Jason fights is what would be described as a thug. So dirty fighting, up close, cheap shots, heavy blows. He is knocking people unconscious with big swings, or, and as the Red Hood, killing them with firearms, blades, explosives, etc. Everything that Batman does not use against people,
He does.
basically the Red Hood does. Also, he's got a sick fucking motorcycle.
That's pretty cool.
Jason's Robin costume was very similar to Dick's, with some iterations having pants rather than the spandex underwear. And yeah, that's not until like later in the comics when people are like, it's kind of weird that they're running around in underwear. It doesn't make much sense.
It is.
So
It's kind of strange.
that's when he is depicted as having pants on. So that's his Robin costume. Basically just Dick's again. His Red Hood costume goes through a lot of different changes. Usually he's wearing cargo military pants, leather boots, a leather jacket, and the iconic red helmet. Sometimes he's wearing like a body morphing suit on his chest with like a red bat symbol on it. When Dick Grayson became Batman momentarily in a storyline where Bruce Wayne had died, Jason Todd said, "Fuck it, I'll be your Joker," and then took his outfit to resemble the Red Hood that was Joker's original costume. If you take his origin story from The Killing Joke, is the comic line.
Okay. Yep.
He throws that like big orb round featureless helmet on. Jason Todd remakes his outfit to resemble that as a mockery to Batman and solidifying himself as Dick's rival in that storyline. So
Again, for half a second, when you were teeing that up, I was like, all right, he's going to go, all right, fuck it. Dick, you're the new Batman. Fuck it, I'll be your Joker. I'll be your Robin. I was just going to go back down to being Robin. I'm like,
no,
that's a comic line I want to read. That's
we will
hilarious.
talk about who Dick Grayson's Robin is in a second, because he did take one until Bruce Wayne returned.
Also, just a quick general Batman question.
Sure.
Because you've said that Jason Todd was trained by Talia al Ghul in the League of Assassins. Was it just the one Batman movie? Isn't he also trained by the League of Assassins? Is that a generally accepted thing, or was that just the one first Christopher Nolan movie?
So, I'm pretty sure Batman has been. I didn't
Okay.
anticipate that question, so I don't know.
I mean, it's not an inherently huge deal. I was just like, because like even though he doesn't use like blades and swords and all of these other things, it doesn't mean he doesn't know how to use them
Right.
well. He just chooses not to. Correct?
I think so. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
remember that in the Christopher Nolan Batman universe, um, the rest of DC does not exist. It's just
Right.
Batman and Gotham, and then Batman's villains. So a lot of the people that Batman has interacted with that are tied to other DC comic heroes and characters don't exist. So to make it all within that universe and for the storytelling, I believe he was trained by the League of Assassins. And I don't think he wasn't in the comics, but I don't think that's where he learned from.
Okay. Gotcha.
Um, yeah, so that was Jason Todd, the second
Mm-hmm.
Robin. Now we're going to move to Tim Drake, who is Batman's third Robin. He joined the ranks following Jason's death in Batman issue number 436, and he would later become Red Robin after Dick Grayson briefly assumed the role of Batman.
Were there
Uh,
no legal issues taking that name? On the
Fucking,
side
I
of
don't know.
on the side of DC, not on the side of Tim
I
Drake.
think
Like
the
for real
burger
though.
chain is Red Robin's with an S. So for him to be Red Robin is fine, I think.
I guess. I mean, it might fall under.
Oh, it looks like they're both Red Robin. Yeah. So instead of talking about corporate politics
Sure.
and capitalistic politics, let's talk about
That's
Tim
next
Drake.
episode.
So tying back to Dick Grayson, because it seems like all of the Robins must. Tim was in the crowd the night that Dick's parents were murdered. He was young, maybe like 5 or 6,
Mm-hmm.
and he was attending with his parents. Um, from there, he became a Batman and Robin super fan of
Mm-hmm.
sorts. So he followed the news stories. He, you know, saw all the pictures and stuff, and he was able to deduce that Robin was actually Dick Grayson because he had seen him do an acrobatic stunt that only Dick could have possibly done, and one that Dick had actually performed the nights that his parents died. So I
Right.
think it was like a quadruple somersault in the air or something from a standing position or something ridiculous and a great feat of acrobatics. So he figures out that Dick is Robin. And then because of that, he realizes that Batman must be Bruce Wayne because that's who took Dick in as his ward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, being a super fan definitely was the reason why he was able to deduce this. But Tim's also got a genius level intellect that led him to this discovery. And it was after Dick Grayson left to become Nightwing, and then Jason died pretty soon after that, that Tim Drake went to Gotham, found Dick Grayson, and asked him to return to being Robin because he claims that Robin or Batman needs a Robin. Batman was being a little bit more brutal in his attacks and whatnot against people. Maybe hitting people a little bit too hard. But Grayson said, I'm Nightwing now. I can't go back to being Robin. And so after that, Alfred suggested that young Drake became the new Robin. And, Batman was a little bit hesitant. But, if you know Batman and Robin, you know that Alfred's word is definitely kept in high regard, though.
Of
Um,
course.
and so after Alfred's suggestion, Tim was taken on as the next Robin. He's number 3. he's a great Robin. Probably the best Robin just in terms of who Robin should be. And I think Tim is often portrayed as only ever wanting to be Batman's Robin. And
see, that's interesting to me because of the four, he's the one that I never remember at all.
right, they do Tim Drake dirty as fuck.
Okay,
And
so
like
it's not
almost
like
all of the media. Yeah, I'm going to talk
right,
about that
that's
in a
fair.
second.
Gotcha.
But basically, uh, his his intelligence, his skill set just mirrors Batman so perfectly, that it was just a natural fit for him to be Robin. And for a long time, he is only Robin. He's just Batman's Robin. Until the comic line where everybody thinks that Batman is dead. He is then forced into a change. So Dick Grayson takes up the mantle of Batman, and he chooses Damian Wayne instead of Tim as his Robin. And the justification that he gives Tim is that they're equals, and if he isn't already better than me, he will be soon. That's Dick talking about Tim. So he sort of gives him a promotion, and he being Tim becomes Red Robin. So Red Robin is basically Batman with a little bit more technological know-how.
Sorry.
What?
With a little bit more yum to him.
Yeah, like a fried egg on top.
Yeah, just a little fried egg cracked right on top of there.
Yeah, right
Ooh.
in between the buns.
Good eating.
Yeah, so Red Robin is a tactician, gadget specialist, and he is a rival to Batman being Bruce Wayne's skills. Just like the other Robins, he led the Teen Titans for a little while, which I forgot to mention Jason Todd also did. And Tim Drake is actually the Robin from Young Justice, if you know the show. And he led that team for a little while as well. That's a really good depiction of Tim Drake, actually, because he's just like fucking hella smart and is pulling Batman-like shit all the time. In terms of like his deduction and stuff. So, talking about his skills, if Dick Grayson outmaneuvers every opponent with his acrobatics and Jason Todd just beats the fuck out of them and overpowers them, Tim Drake outthinks every opponent. His best skill is his ability to adapt and apply his genius on the fly.
Gotcha.
Batman, Bruce Wayne, noted that Tim would one day surpass his own skills in being a detective. So the world's greatest detective says this kid will be a better detective than me in due time. Dick Grayson considers him an equal despite the age difference. That's like, those are like the glowing remarks that he has on his skill set. He's trained with Batman, so same, skill set and stuff like that as the others. He has the gadget arsenal. He has his own gadgets that he tinkers with and invents. But unlike some of the others, all of the others, he hasn't gotten any additional training outside of Bruce, really. And Tim Drake actually fights with a bow staff as his signature style. So the bullshit about Tim Drake is he has gotten some erasure. Teen Titans, that's your favorite Robin, right?
It is. That is my favorite Robin, the original Teen Titans cartoon.
Yeah, so Teen Titans Robin was supposed to be an amalgamation of just the Robin character and not supposed to be anyone in specific. And then they went into the future with an episode and he became Nightwing.
Yeah, that's like I said, that became my favorite character, which I guess by default makes him Dick Grayson.
Yeah, exactly. He becomes Dick Grayson. But he still fights with a bow staff, which is Tim Drake's thing.
Right.
And no shade against Dick Grayson's Robin, but you know, the Teen Titans Robin had like those remote control batarangs and like the explosive
Yep.
ones and stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
not something that Dick Grayson's Robin ever used, or Nightwing uses even.
Mm.
So there's some Tim Drake erasure for you. But like I said,
Basically, what you're saying is they went, man, we want to do a cool amalgamation. Then they're like, we actually want a future episode. We're kind of, obviously we aren't in the writers' heads, but they went. I guess we've kind of been taking the most from Tim Drake. Oh, Red Robin, yeah, we can't do that. I guess it's Nightwing. Nightwing's a cooler, very minimum name. I won't say he's a cooler character. I don't know enough about Red Robin, but like Nightwing is at bare minimum a cooler name, so let's do that one instead.
well, honestly, I think that at this point, Tim had not been written into the Red Robin role, because of
Oh,
the original Teen Titans probably came out before that storyline.
God. So
Um,
that's somewhat recent in that case.
yeah, in like the 20 teens, it came out.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
yeah, so I think outside of Young Justice, we don't see like a ton of great Tim Drake stuff. Um, Reese, or I'm sorry, briefly, his parents, Tim Drake's parents, discovered that he was Robin. They actually didn't die right
Wait, his
away.
parent. I was about to say his parents are
Um,
still alive. Isn't that
they
illegal?
were they
What the
were for a
fuck?
very long time. And they did end up dying, and then he was able to return to being Robin, because as soon as they knew his identity, Batman asked him to step down as Robin, so he
Of
just started
course.
going to school, like a normal genius would.
Right.
So yeah, that's Tim Drake. His costume is the first to get a huge change. He has the full body suit.
Yep.
Green as a color is pretty much removed entirely from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's red, black, and with yellow accents. And when he is Red Robin, he has a sick outfit. He has like a Batman like cowl, that where like at his nose it comes to like a bird's beak. And he has a large, heavy cloak that is around it, which is different from all the Robins who usually just had like the eye mask. Um, the bodysuit that he has is like that deep red, black boots and gloves, and then a interior yellow cape. Like the interior of his cape is yellow.
See, I also just looked up pictures of him because I wasn't actually sure what he looked like. Where I knew the other ones. I agree with you on everything except the cowl being cool. I think the cowl is dumb as shit, and when he's wearing the eye
What?
mask, it looks way better. It just looks like a weird bald cap with a pointy nose.
Oh, come on,
The rest
bro.
of the outfit, like cape, everything except the cowl, is good.
How are you gonna have
Everything
that
else is
cape?
good. That because it looks dumb. Like the only thing that makes Batman's
Uh,
cool is that it has the ears, so it's not just a weird bald cap.
but he's a bird. He's
I know, but like
not a bat.
that's why. Yeah, that's why the eye mask was fine. The eye mask was
Oh.
fine. I'd say I don't know if he actually does. A lot of the pictures looks as if like the cape in certain ones is almost like metal wings.
Yes. So
That's
as
sick. Like
Red
that's
Robin, yeah,
fucking cool. That's
as
sick as
Red Robin
hell.
in the New 52, sometimes I'm sorry, as Red Robin, he has a metallic as Red Robin, he has the metal wings. And that's after the Batman Goes Missing storyline.
Okay.
And he's also briefly known as Drake, which is like a rewritten story. I think they dropped that pretty quick though. Um,
Mhm.
the storyline's a little muddy, with Damian Wayne appearing and Tim Drake still kind of is Robin in some storylines, and it's now Damian in others. Um, but let's talk about Damian, who is the fifth Robin.
Fourth?
technically.
What? Oh, I
Yep.
see. Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's
Okay. I'm
technically
on
the
board
fifth
with what you
Robin.
said now. Yeah.
Because Tim Drake had a sort of relationship fling um, thing that was going on, and no, it was a full on relationship and a full love interest. It wasn't a fling with this woman named Stephanie Brown. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she took up the mantle of Robin very briefly when Tim's father learned that he was Robin, and then his dad
But
died,
didn't
and he was able to go back to being Robin.
but didn't you just say that Tim and Damien were around at the same time? Why wouldn't Damien have just taken that up?
Because Damien was
When
a baby
or
when this
oh,
happened.
okay. So he
So
was alive, but not for very long. Okay,
yes,
fair enough.
so in the story where Stephanie Brown is um, Robin, she is first known um, as her own vigilante. Spoiler, and she's actually the daughter of one of Batman's villains. But I do kind of want to talk about some of
Kind
the
of like
other
Damien.
members of the Bat family, so I'll just leave
Mm-hmm.
her there, as she was briefly a Robin in place of Tim, and she was his love interest for a long time in the Batman and Robin comics.
Gotcha.
I think it's like discounting to her character to just call her a Robin, though, and
Right.
that's why she's technically a Robin, but not truly. Um, but we can talk about the fifth Robin, Damian Wayne, who most people just accept as the fourth. Um,
Mm.
he's the child of Bruce and Talia. Um, he first appeared as an infant in Batman Son of the Demon in 1987, and he has only ever been Robin. No other vigilante identities yet.
He's been around for a lot longer than I thought he was.
So he's introduced as a infant in 1987. Emphasis there.
And infant, yeah.
Yep. So he's been around, and then they rewrote the entirety of the canon of DC, and so they probably revisited him again later.
Gotcha.
They might not have ever intended for him to be a Robin in like 1987. Damien was conceived by Talia to make the best possible heir to Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins.
Right.
It's a little bit of a gray area, but it seems like Talia drugged Batman for the conception of him, but he was actually carried to term in a vat. I say it's a gray area because there is like some sort of relationship between Talia and Batman. Yeah, and I didn't read the comic where this scene was portrayed,
Mm.
but from what I've seen, it still is uncertain
Right.
whether or not there was consent. But Talia is a villain, so that's a possibility. As a young child under Talia's training, he always wanted to know who his father was and was constantly asking about it. And I think that's pretty within his rights, to know who
Mm.
your dad is. She would repeatedly tell him, "When you defeat me in a duel, I will tell you who your father is." So on one of his birthdays, Damien bests her in sword fighting, and she says, "All right, let's meet your daddy," and she goes to Gotham with him. She then basically calls up Bruce and just gives him Damien, just kind of like leaves him with Bruce Wayne, and is like, "This is your kid."
Sure.
Um, and so it was in an attempt to sort of hinder Batman's work, because after all, Damien was reckless, definitely morally fallible, and extremely disobedient. Him and Batman have a A generous term would be a cold start, not trusting each
Mm-hmm.
other fully.
And it just
Um,
sounds like exactly what happened with Jason Todd.
uh, no, no, it's not.
In the way of like he was reckless in like impeded things and was like kind of a pain in the
Right.
ass
So,
about shit.
so
Not in the
the
origin
way
story part, obviously.
the way that they were different is Damien was like trying to kill people because that's how he was trained, and so Batman is like fighting
Okay,
people
okay,
and like stopping his son from like killing like low life criminals that are just like mugging somebody, and Batman and
right,
Robin intervene, and then Damien draws a sword and tries to kill him, that sort of thing,
yeah,
and Batman's like,
okay.
can you stop doing
Could
that?
you just not fucking do
And
that, please?
they are in this sort of dynamic of like untrusting each other until the storyline when it appears that Batman has died, and then Grayson takes up Batman's cowl and takes Damian under his wing. Uh, Dick Grayson trains Damian to be a great Robin, and is understandably shocked at the amount of training that he has received, because
Right.
most 11-year-old kids have never killed somebody before, but it seems like Damien's killed his fair share and has
Right.
mastered quite a few martial arts. Um, Most importantly, from his time as Robin under Dick Grayson, Damien develops restraint and morals, and this is obviously something that was never taught to him by his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce comes back. He takes Damien at his side as Robin, and they sort of develop a like wholesome father son crime fighting duo where Batman is no longer fighting with Damien because Dick Grayson sort of stepped up and showed him what it means to be a hero in a way that maybe Batman couldn't, and maybe Damien didn't want to see from his father, who was absent. So there was some resentment in the beginning.
Hey,
Um,
I mean, in defense of Batman, he wasn't absent of his own choice.
exactly,
He was
like
absent in the way of, oh, I didn't know you existed. I'm so sorry.
yeah, exactly, and like that wasn't
Not to say
like
that
a
Damien
slight,
doesn't still
yeah.
have like a right to feel that way, of
It was
course,
just like
but
a
like
shitty
not
situation
really
that
his
was,
fault.
yeah, it's a shitty situation that's brought on by a villain. Uh,
Right.
and so now we have like this corrupted character that is like sort of steered to the good side by Bruce and Dick. And,
Mm-hmm.
they're sort of operating as Batman and Robin to this day. There is a storyline where a future Damien, who was not trained under Batman, is sent back in time to kill Batman. And then Damien sort of jumps in front of what could literally be a bullet. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it might have been like laser eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and sacrifices himself to keep Batman from dying. And so Batman defeats future Damien, uh, and he goes through a ton of loops and um, actually ends up like interacting with Darkseid to basically get what is called a Chaos Shard to bring back Damien. And when he
Yeah,
gets the
that's
Chaos
called the
Shard,
Soul Stone, I think, right?
I think so.
It's
When
the
he has the
yellow one.
Chaos Shard, I think it's red. When he has the
Is
Chaos
it? Fuck.
Shard, he has the choice of bringing back Damien or Batman's parents. Batman has this choice, and
Mm-hmm.
he brings back Damien. So that shows a lot about Bruce and Damien's relationship,
Mm-hmm.
um, because obviously the big defining moment for Bruce Wayne is losing his parents, and he chose to bring his son back. Um, like most of the other Robins, he has been a member of the Teen Titans and leads them even, and he also is becoming little buddy buddy with Superman's son.
Yep. Is
So, what's up?
it? I know that. So I know they made Superman gay recently. That one's just true, right?
Um,
Is there
no, I
is
know
there
what story you're
are
talking about.
people shipping Damian and Superboy?
No,
Is
I
where
don't
my
think
question
so.
is leading.
So
Okay.
Jonathan Kent, who is Superman's son, uh, is gay in one of the comics, I believe, but I don't think
Yes.
he and
Because there was a bunch
Damian
of
are in a
outrage
relationship.
recently. Okay.
I think in most of the new storylines, any love interest that Damian has is with um, Raven from the Teen Titans, actually. Uh,
Oh yeah, I remember
and
you
they
telling me
have,
about that because it's the two edgy people that kind of don't like their dads.
yeah,
One of them doesn't like their dad a lot more than the other
they
one.
have
Don't
a
get me wrong.
surprisingly wholesome like relationship out of that.
I'm actually super here for that. That feels like a really good
Raven,
pairing.
yeah, Raven gives Damien his dog, Titus, I think is his name. I think that's right. Um, and they sort of like start a relationship, like a teen romance thing, and some of the
Mm,
new Teen Titans. So that's,
interesting.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So for the skills, Damien is potentially the most lethal Robin. The only one that would rival him in that title would be Jason Todd. But I'm gonna put it out there that it's probably Damien. Trained with
Yeah.
the League of the Assassins, and also had been training as if he would be the heir to the League and to Ra's al Ghul for his entire life until he met Batman.
Yeah. Wait.
Um,
Wait. I didn't even. I didn't even think about it until you just said that. Talia was training him specifically to be the heir to the League of Assassins. You said.
yeah.
Why the fuck was she just like, "Oh fuck, Batman, here you go"? Like I know you said like to mess it to like fuck with him a little bit, but like
Well, okay, so
that seems like a really bad order of priorities.
sure.
Like, oh, here's this kid I've been raising for a very specific goal. Actually, fuck it. I'm just gonna fuck with this guy that like kind of interferes with us sometimes.
Yep, and I don't have like a 100% concrete answer, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure that the reasoning is because Batman interferes with Ra's al Ghul and stops him whenever he is, up to his no good plans, and also with Talia. And so, if he trains under Batman, then he will be able to defeat Batman in the future. That
Okay.
is
There's
like
a
so.
line of logic to that. If they made
Yeah,
him like a sleeper agent sort of thing or
yeah, sort
something
of is
along
like
those
their
lines.
idea, but then
Okay.
like Bruce and Dick Grayson got through to him and were like, hey,
Right.
it's not your fault that you were trying to
What if you
murder
didn't do
people when you were
that?
6. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
uh and so he's an expert in many different martial arts, sword fighting, poison, stealth, and just being a cocky little brat, especially when he first joins up with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
The I say new, but they're pretty old, or a couple years old at this point. There's like a new animated line of movies that have Damian Wayne as the Robin in them, and he is portrayed just so perfectly for just like a cocky little dick. And
No, not Dick Damien.
no, dick like the thing in between a guy's legs.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
and it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So he has all of the pedigree from the League of Assassins, and then he also trains with Dick and Bruce, and becomes capable of
Mm-hmm.
the acrobatics. He starts picking up Batman's skill set. He is still pretty young, and has formative growth to achieve, but other than that, his skills are maybe the best in terms of combat out of the Robins. I still think from everything that I've read that Tim Drake is just hands down the best Robin, in terms of skill and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, like Damien hasn't gotten to an age where I think he's been written into exploring the space of being his own hero yet. He wears a more traditional colored Robin suit, red vest, green boots and gloves, like gray undertones throughout like his sleeves and his pant legs. However, he has a unique part of his outfit where he wears a hood and cloak combo that was his own addition, as well as the eye mask to conceal his identity. Um, and then the inner lining of the cloak is like that bright robin yellow. So yeah, these are Batman's Robins. My favorite is probably pretty obvious. It's Jason Todd. I just think he is like the way that he ebbs and flows in between helping Batman, fucking with Batman, and just existing in Gotham alongside Batman is always interesting to me, and his outfits are always fucking sick.
But yeah, I like learning about the Robins. Like I said, I only really knew about Dick Grayson and Damian, a little bit about Jason Todd just because I know of Red Hood, and then Tim Drake Erasure is real.
It is. It's super real.
Tim Drake Erasure is very real, and it's kind of a shame because he seems pretty cool. Other than the cowl that I disagree with.
The cowl's fucking sick.
But other than that, they're interesting characters. It's good to know that not that I ever thought that they were just like thoughtless side characters that just held around with Batman, but like they got some real cool shit going on.
Yeah, they certainly.
It's hilarious that it jumps from hey, no killing, you can't kill, to okay, a kind of troubled kid that's like, he's going a little too far, but like he just got some anger issues, to okay, here's Sword Boy. We got Sword Boy now, and he is slitting the throat of villains. It's like, okay, there's a progression here. I see it.
Yeah, for sure. And they definitely have started writing more story for Robin, especially when people started showing so much favoritism towards Dick Grayson back in the day. And that's probably why we had like 40 years or something of him as just the Robin. Right. So, yeah. You want to sign off?
Yeah. Well, for now, I've been Ian.
And I'm always Tyler.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, week, month, whenever you happen to be listening to this. And we hope you come back and listen to the next one as well. Hope you enjoyed your time here.
Yep. Everybody have a good evening, morning, whatever.
And Wilson says goodbye as well, I'm sure.
Right, Wilson? Nothing from Wilson this time.
Nothing from Wilson. He actually doesn't say goodbye. And you're just going to have to deal with that.
Yeah, get fucked.